Hello everybody, welcome. Happy New Year, happy 2022. Welcome to this reading. I hope you all had a very happy new year and are excited about this year ahead and are being kind to yourself. There is a transition period as we move from the energy of one year to another, even though we can say that time doesn't exist. We live by time in our kind of human form, and there is a kind of transition as we leave one energetic space and enter into another. So please be kind to yourself. This is a purpose reading about what you need to do to step into your purpose this year. Looking at where you are in this month now and what is going to be important for you this year about actually fully making this the year that you start to really live your purpose and kind of feel really connected to it. So let's pull some cards. If you're interested in a more personal kind of look at this, then I do offer personal readings and you can find the details below. So let's see what comes out for you, and then we'll kind of go through them. Okay. And so this might particularly resonate if you are looking to actually start something this year, or perhaps you have started something and it hasn't quite got the energy behind it. You know, it's not kind of moving. It's not kind of looking how you thought it would, and that's kind of often when people start to think perhaps they're on the wrong path. And sometimes it's looking at how are you using your energy behind what you're doing. So let's have a look first of all. Okay. So the first message to come out is kind of looking at where you are. And this is the Keepers of the Earth card. And what I think is kind of really important to note about this is this kind of feeling of not being alone. And quite often when you're looking to kind of take it a different path, it can actually feel very lonely because you are looking for support from the obvious places around you. And actually, the real support that you have is perhaps not from those obvious sources. So the message on this card is, Keepers of the Earth, you're not alone. Ancient ancestors stand beside you. And there's also a lot of animals on this card. So it's kind of actually coming back to this really kind of primal, kind of tribal feeling of looking at who is your tribe. So you're looking to start something, you want to kind of create something this year, and the people that you have around you may not actually represent your true tribe in that sense. They might be loved ones, they might be friends, acquaintances, what have you. But perhaps the very people around you, they are not your kind of like for like. Like on this card, I think there's 2 eagles. So if you're an eagle, to actually have your tribe, you may need to kind of surround yourself with someone who you also see as an eagle, just as an example, so that has the same kind of characteristics, so you actually feel that support. So I think the very first thing to remember is that whatever it is that you are looking to do, you are not alone, but you maybe need to kind of look a little bit outside the box to find the true support that is going to help you with what you want to create. Because the next card, what is your soul calling you to do, is the Trust Your Path card. And this is the kind of age-old question of, if you knew you would be supported, what would you do? So if you knew, and if you actually knew that you had this ancestral support behind you, what would that empower you to actually go off and do? And it's kind of the what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? If there was no such thing as failure or fear associated to the choices that you'd make, what would you then go off to do? What journey would you actually take? And obviously in this picture, it is a journey, but this doesn't necessarily actually mean a journey in terms of travel. It can mean a journey into yourself, a journey to being more connected to yourself, a journey to sharing your gifts in a new way, to being connected to other people, maybe relationships. So it doesn't actually have to be you physically going off and doing this. It's kind of perhaps the journey within yourself, which is as significant, if not more. In terms of what this is bringing up in you, the card that's come home is the kind of the original Lightworkers message, the Min Taken card, which is this kind of sense of longing for home. And if you are actually a Lightworker, part of that journey is very much kind of feeling a bit displaced from the world and feeling that you don't really have a home. And it can take some people a long time to kind of really connect to that feeling of home. And so because of that, you may have gone off on quite a few journeys. You can see you may have gone off on quite a few journeys looking for this sense of home, looking for this place of where you belong, who you actually fit in with, who is your kind of companions, who is your like for likes, who is your eagle to the eagle type thing. And because you haven't found it, you kind of feel that there isn't a place for you. And that has kind of disempowered you because you kind of think, well, I kind of feel this this pull, this call to do something, and I don't have a root, I don't have a foundation. And sometimes it can be that you really need to look at your root chakra and your kind of connection to things that are solid and stable. And once you have that, you have, it's an internal feeling. You don't necessarily have this feeling to be so flighty, to always be moving on to the next thing, to have the kind of, if you remember the show, the Littlest Hobo kind of syndrome, where you're always kind of moving on and feeling that to find what I need to go out and look for it rather than stay in a place and be it and attract it into my experience. Because it uses up quite a lot of energy moving around, searching for something that actually, when you feel connected to your path, it is all there anyway. In terms of what's falling away, the card that came out is Priestess. And this is kind of asking the question of how are you being called to step up and lead? And again, there's this kind of animal kind of imagery that kind of supports the woman in this picture. So this is looking at kind of, you're here for a very specific reason. You may have had this kind of feeling of I don't belong, and that has been partly because you don't, your path is maybe a little bit different than you have previously imagined. And part of that is actually stepping up and taking on a bigger, more powerful role than you maybe kind of thought was possible for you. But in order to do that, you have to be willing to let go of what hasn't been serving you. And you have to be willing to see yourself in a different way than this kind of person that kind of feels a bit lost and all by themselves. You have to kind of remember who your tribe really is and kind of remember your power. And your tribe, you have this strong feeling of tribe within you and around you, but that may not actually be represented by people in your actual experience at the moment. So it's a case of, it feels like self-empowerment. how do you empower yourself to be powerful and to take the lead? And actually leading in your life is not necessarily, a leader is kind of such a big kind of masculine energy, that leading could just be you being a single person, just kind of being in charge of your life. Because the energetic shift of that will ripple out from you. So in terms of your gifts, what you're here to bring to the world, again, priestess. So this is a connection, a journey within. This is not necessarily going off somewhere and escaping everything. This is actually coming back to yourself. Sisterhood of the Rose is beauty, devotion, mystic, teacher. So what are you here to show others? And you show that to others by what you have learned yourself, the journeys you have taken and the connection you have with yourself. What this is creating is unbound. So this is where at the beginning we were looking at this kind of ancestral kind of support. It's calling in where you are supported, where you have your like for likes, to, but then simultaneously at the same time releasing the old contracts and agreements and binds and limitations that also come from the past. So this is and this is something that I kind of comes up in all of my coaching and readings, is redefining your relationship to your past so you can step forward in this energy. So it is not denying the past, it is not polishing the past, it is redefining what is being released from the past and what is coming with you. And you can't make this up, because what's the next step is soul family, calling in your tribe, actually realizing that even if you feel completely alone in what you have been doing, even if you felt completely alone in life, there is a family that is yours. You are not on this path alone. You do have a tribe of people around you. You have ancestors supporting you. You have like-minded people. You have people that can be trusted, who are also looking for the same. You have people that are ready to support you, and they are also looking to be supported back. You don't have to do this alone. And funnily enough, I was talking to someone today who, in the conversation, we were talking about achievements, and doesn't it mean more when we achieve everything ourselves, rather than maybe doing something collectively or with another person? And my kind of response was, you can choose to it's a choice of how hard you want to make something. What is it that you actually want to do? Do you want to show that you can work hard, that you can work harder than everyone else, or do you want to create something? Because there's this kind of false sense of glory in achieving things by yourself, but we miss out on the connection that we can have when we achieve something with others. You know, we are not, you may consider yourself to be perhaps, eagles kind of tend to fly by themselves, but they are not the only eagle, if that makes sense. So you're not having to do everything by yourself. Yeah, we all need the connection. So in terms of what you do with this is looking at what your soul is actually calling you to do. And that becomes really apparent to you when you start to have the connection, when you allow yourself to actually truly tap into your gifts. You're releasing the past, but you're also calling in the support, because you know that you show up differently when you feel supported, when you feel heard, when you feel seen, when you feel that even if you are kind of actually physically standing alone, when you know that there is support, when you know that actually I cannot fail on this, there is nothing that can go wrong. There's nothing that I can do that is wrong. When you come from that energy, it's a lot easier to hear what your soul actually is, trying to tell you, and be in a position to actually respond to it. And interestingly enough, what you need to know is if you can see the writing, perhaps not, is the play card. Have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. We kind of, soul work can kind of get a bit heavy. We might have some kind of old ancestral contracts and timelines to negotiate, but actually the whole point of your stepping into your purpose is to also enjoy this process, is to celebrate, is to kind of be light of heart, is to kind of, have the connections to others, bring this energy of play, of celebration, of fun, and bring it to others and lead from that place. What stops you from doing that is, in your hopes and fears, the alignment card. So where are you not aligned? Where is this feeling of I don't belong? There isn't really a place for me. Where is that stopping you from moving into this? Who do you need to call on? If you knew that this support, if you knew that you had the support of this is kind of like the support of all realms behind you, how do you call upon that? Because what this is all leading to is actually being, when I said about the connection to yourself, that you don't need to go off on this like big massive journey. This is what you have actually available to you, that you are the oracle. You don't need there's so many things that you don't need. Like we use things like oracle cards, we use tarot, we use energy work and so many other things to re-establish this connection. This is what you have available to you all the time, but likely it got kind of gummed up with things from the past that weren't serving your vibration, because every time you make a decision to redefine your past, where you release the things that are not useful anymore, and you bring forward the things that are useful, you increase your vibration. Every time you renegotiate what your past actually is and what you make it mean, you can have had, some really, really heavy ties here, and you can still become this pillar of light by renegotiating, kind of creating the past on your own terms. That feels to be the message that is coming through there quite strongly. Then because at the bottom of the deck we had, the kind of what you don't see coming so much is the share your voice card. This is like coming out of the cave. This is, where you've kind of kept yourself hidden, kept yourself cut off from everything. And this is, a metaphor as well. This isn't just kind of you've been living in a cave. This is you've been living in a kind of, you've been keeping your soul and your true essence kind of cut off from people. You haven't been sharing all of who you are with people. You've been holding back because you don't want people to see all of who you are, because you don't feel supported. You don't feel that you are among the people that get you. It's now time to come out of that cave, whether it is a physical environment or a kind of, a cave of your mind, of your heart, of your soul. It's time to come out of that space. Let's pull a wisdom card just to see what else. So this to me is very much about kind of choosing, rather than kind of fleeing, trying to run away, trying to hide, or sometimes keep moving on, hide, like I'll start again. I don't have to answer to people. I don't have to kind of what are you actually running from? And maybe it's just this feeling of actually you're moving from one thing to another, moving from country to country, from job to job, from relationship to relationship, whatever it is. Maybe it's from even just like how you present yourself, constantly changing, looking, searching for this sense of just feeling and belonging, and kind of choosing to call in that feeling of home now. That's what I feel. It's kind of as this, this energy of I kind of put my stake in the ground kind of feeling is what's going to help you to step into your purpose this year. Of I'm actually going to kind of mark out my territory here. And again, it's a metaphor. You can still move. You can still go and live somewhere different if you need to, or change your relationship, or change your look, or change anything. But it's the kind of decision that, okay, I do belong here. I have a kind of, I can connect to my feeling of a root. And it might be that if you have that kind of really fleeing nature, it is actually looking at your root chakra and looking at some healing in that space. Let's pull a card from here before I drop them all and see what this says for us. And we have the Serendipity card came out. And to me, this is very much a case of kind of realizing just how lucky you are, how you are connected to all that is good. In this card, she conversely is not rooted to the ground, but she is connected. She is not rooted to one particular place, but she is rooted to what is actually good. And that is the feeling of joy, a feeling of abundance, a feeling of ease. She's connected to that. So when I say about this, it's not being like rooted in one place. it is the connection. Let's just see if there's an additional message that might be relevant for us. Because this connection, I just needed reminding, this is what, when you're connected, this is what allows you to see the things that are good. This is what allows you to have this kind of space to play and enjoy the process. Like, your soul work does not have to be this kind of, there are, you know, more arduous parts to it. There's a heaviness coming out of caves, coming out of, you know, spiritual contracts and all the rest of it. There is heaviness and things to transcend. There is, you know, sometimes there's a feeling of being alone and feeling lost and feeling like you don't have a place. But actually, when you're truly, truly connected, you are completely supported. You have your sisters, or however you want to put it, around you. You have power to step up and be who you are. You have soul family, a tribe of people who are there, ready to come at you and say, look, you know, we're on the same page. We understand and see each other. And this gets to kind of be a more enjoyable process. So it's really looking at this connection and finding a kind of something that resonates with you, where you find yourself feeling really supported, and just calling that in more and more, because it will help you to release the things that you don't need, and allow you to express your, you know, your gifts and enjoy this process. Please do let me know if this resonates for you, and where you are. You know, I'd love to hear where you are on your own journey. And I shall see you all again soon. Thanks so much for watching.